It's time to do our first mock draft review of the season. We're getting ready for the NFL draft. We're getting ready for our rookie drafts. We're using these mock drafts to get a good idea of landing spots, overall market value, micro and macro, to see what could potentially happen in our Dynasty rookie drafts here in the next few months. We're not holding these mock drafts to concrete, but we're just looking at them, trying to fantasize over the landing spots and see what we want to do with these players. Before we dig in though, you need to click that subscribe button right now because we're looking at these rookies every day. Yesterday we went over the running back rankings. We're going to do some more rookie drafts here soon, and we're going to be looking at some mustache players here in the next few days. Click that button. Stop missing out. But this mock draft's from ESPN. It's made by Jordan Reed, and we're just going to go pick by pick, look at the players, and talk some ball on them. We've been doing this for the last few years now, but it is something to look at to fantasize over these players. And the first player off the board for us is Cam Ward. Can Cam Ward come off the board to Tennessee? This team's got a lot of work to do. Cam Ward, coming out of the transfer portal back last year around this time, he was the top quarterback, the guy I was looking at the most. We go over to Miami, we transitioned very well. When we look at Cam Ward, we look at a quarterback that can transition from one program to another rapidly. We might catch that at the NFL level. When we look at market sentiment of these quarterbacks in this year's rookie draft class, it's not looking too hot. When we look at the talent level at the quarterback position for the 2025 NFL draft, not many people is too keen on that. And honestly, it's not the greatest quarterback class. It is not. From the top end perspective, Cam Ward's okay. He's an okay quarterback prospect. He does have some potential, a guy to look at. However, when you look at this landing spot here for Dynasty Fantasy Football for the Tennessee Titans, I don't see many people that's going to be too much in love with it. When I look at it from a super flex perspective, you're still spending the first round pick, first overall player off the board at the quarterback position. We got some upside here. We saw him transition and develop rapidly with Miami. We got some goods to the game. Tennessee's got to add some weapons here. We got to get better. All shapes and form here. But the thing is, Cam Ward going to the Titans. Are you in lockstep with this? Are you spending up for this? Are you moving around your assets? Moving on to the next player, Shedeur Sanders from Colorado going to the Browns. Similar situation here to Cam Ward, where you got a lot of potential here. Maybe holds on the ball too long, but wherever we go, we sell out, we do well, we make things happen. We're always making those big moments. We saw that at Colorado. We got a good arm on him. We had good anticipation downfield. The thing about this, we're going to Cleveland in this mock draft. We're going to Cleveland. Cleveland has not been good to quarterbacks. What? They started 40 quarterbacks since 1999? 40 quarterbacks started for the Cleveland Browns, and all of a sudden they're going to do right with Shedeur Sanders. That's the one thing you're looking at. So whoever they draft in this year's draft class, they're going to be kind of scared of. The market's going to be scared of, and they're already not liking this quarterback class. I like Shedeur Sanders for the potential standpoint. I like that a lot, but being Bayesian here, I understand he's not a generational prospect either. Shedeur Sanders does have some upside here in this offense if they can add more to it. We're seeing some pieces here in this offense do some things with different quarterback play. I don't think Deshaun Watson's the guy for this team. I don't think anybody does. And I don't think when we looked at the backup quarterbacks, they're not undeniable or they even do anything. That being said, they got to do something at the quarterback position. This might be the cheapest way to do it. But are you going to go all in at the price tag? Are you going to put Ashton Jeanty ahead of him? I'm pretty sure you are. I'm pretty sure you are. I'm pretty sure you might put the next wide receiver off the board that you like ahead of them as well. But going on to our next player. Next player is Travis Hunter to the New York Football Giants. So from a Dynasty fantasy football in general perspective, when I'm looking at this mock draft, you're sharing the field with Malik Neighbors. And as a wide receiver on the board, and if you're playing wide receiver, not cornerback, you're definitely the wide receiver too. I don't see you outshining Malik Neighbors on the field. I don't see you stealing targets from him. So baseline, if you're a full-time wide receiver, what? 20%-ish target share, while Malik Neighbors is rocking like a 30% target share. On top of that, you might be drafted to play corner. You might be mixed around and moved around all over the field, so you may not even be a full-time wide receiver or even at either position. That being said, there's a lot of questions with Travis Hunter. Sharing the field with Malik Neighbors is going to be hard because that dude's going to push for 30% of the targets. You're going to get like 20 to 25%, and you're looking at a wide receiver here with high-end draft capital that will push for higher-end draft capital in rookie drafts. However, in the right spot in rookie drafts, could be a good gamble, but usually in the back end. But as you see this first round flows, you're probably not going to be too enticed with this rookie draft class on the top end, because you're going to look at the pieces in this draft and be like, whoa, 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 and we're going to keep on going. So I'll just call out the positions of draft picks for the non-fantasy football players in this draft. Offensive tackle to the Patriots, cornerback to the Jaguars, edge to the Raiders, defensive tackle to the Jets. Panthers get that edge, and T-Mac going to the Saints, which is an interesting pick for the Saints here. They were banged up heavily at the wide receiver spot. They were banged up big time, and he's a talent that may not fall this far in the draft. Like, that may not happen. But one thing that fits well with T-Mac is he gets downfield. He gets a good 8-aught. Pushing like a 13 8-aught or something like that over there at Arizona. And we're going to get a deep 8-aught here with the Saints. We see that. We see that with the backups, the scabs they keep bringing in. Everybody's getting those deep targets. Chris Olave been getting those deep targets. He's going to fit well in the system. This is a money shot at the wide receiver spot as well, because they like to push the ball downfield. T-Mac's going to get targets downfield alongside Chris Olave. He's going to be a big-time DFS asset, big-time best ball asset until he really starts developing, which could be year one, back into year one, early year two, something like that. I look for him to be on the field early because look at all the other wide receivers they had on the field this year. I think T-Mac going to the Saints, sneaky spot. I'd put him ahead of the quarterbacks. I think he'd be getting volume early. I like the air yards there, the potential air yards that will be fulfilled in this offense. And he'll develop well there. We'll get good volume playing next to Chris Olave. And Chris Olave is a good 1B wide receiver to have next to a guy like T-Mac. I think those two wide receivers would mesh well with each other. I think that's a good connection point. But let's move on down. Let's see what else they got here on the board here coming off our Dynasty rankings. Offensive tackle to the Bears. D-line to the Niners. Ashton Jeanty to the Dallas Cowboys. And I think that's something we're going to see in a lot of mock drafts. One, it's sexy. It gets you clicks. Two, you know they got the running back spot open. You know they're FOMOing it to that. How likely is that? Because this is a team that likes to mine value a lot. They're value merchants to a fault, where they let guys slip away in contracts and they lose out on value because they're trying to mine out value so much. So a guy like Ashton Jeanty falling to 12 to them, I'd say there's probably about a 50-ish% shot. And there's the other 50% where they take something not sexy and they double up at the running back position in the middle rounds. There's a good shot at that as well. That's something that happens, like a draft pick that you're not in love with, that you don't like. We see the Cowboys do this a lot. They trade back or something. There's a 50% shot of that. Ashton Jeanty to the Cowboys here. Definitely going to get the volume. Definitely going to get the opportunity. Will still be the first player off the board to get the name cachet with the Dallas Cowboys. The name cachet of being Ashton Jeanty and what he did this year. I think there's a lot of upside for him in this offense as this team develops and retools. Could be nasty. Could be a nasty move. This offense has not been super sexy this year. Dak's been hurt. But still, Ashton Jeanty going in the first round. It's been a while, or at least a couple years since we had a first round running back. So we're looking at him pretty hard, especially when you look at these quarterbacks in Superflex. You're looking at how deep the wide receiver position is at the top end. You're not liking that too much. But still, Jeanty, big-time prospect for Dynasty Fantasy Football. Let's keep going. Let's keep moving on down. We got safety going to Miami. Tyler Warren to the Colts. This makes a lot of sense because we're locked in at wide receiver. We're locked in at running back. How else can we help our young quarterback? How else can we do that? We got ourselves a top-tier tight end, a guy that can get volume in the passing game, a guy that can settle out blocking as well. I think Tyler Warren can do that for Dynasty fantasy football purposes. With him going in the first round, with people FOMOing with what Brock Bowers did last year, I see a lot of people pulling that first-round price tag on him. I see a lot of people doing that. I think a lot of running backs will get vultured up with them getting drafted in the second round. I think we're going to get a few backs in the second round, a few backs early third-ish. That a lot of people are going to bump up early, mid, first round, higher than usual, especially in 1 QB leagues. When I'm looking at the tight end spot, it's very volatile. I like to buy them in year 2, honestly. I like to buy them when they're cheaper, when they're on the low. Sometimes you can buy a first-round tight end with a second-round pick the next year. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes you can't. But overall, talking strategy with that for Dynasty Fantasy Football, when you're looking at the targets there at the wide receiver spot, there's a lot of wide receivers there to feed. There's 4 of them. They got 4 wide receivers that can suck up targets. The passing volume is pretty low in this offense. That's one thing to note there. That's one thing to pay attention to. Overall, for a football standpoint, getting your young quarterback a tight end with a lot of upside, huge for you, especially with you being racked up a wide receiver. You're being good at running back. But let's keep this moving. Let's look down here. Our next player coming off the board, we got an edge to the Falcons, tackle to the Cardinals, edge to the Bengals, tackle to Seattle, cornerback to the Steelers, tackle to the Texans, Luther Burden going to the Denver Broncos. And we've been saying this all along that the Broncos are just going to add wide receivers. So if you're looking at like a Troy Franklin or a Vele out of that, remember, they're going to add weapons to Bo Nix. 1, Bo Nix is on this rookie contract. And 2, when you got a rookie quarterback like this that looked well in his first season, you want to add weapons to him. Courtland Sutton's not getting any younger. Luther Burden going here is actually a good landing spot for him because he's very solid in the short to intermediate. He's good getting yards after the catch. He's good at taking carries. He's a jack-of-all-trades type of wide receiver. And him getting those short targets kind of meshes well with Bo Nix and how he plays the game. This is actually a good fit for Luther Burden. And Courtland Sutton's not going to be there forever, so he's going to catch up alongside him, like they said here right in the article. I think Luther Burden's a first-round lock with this in Dynasty Fantasy Football, honestly, because we're 21 picks off the board. What else we drafting anyway, especially at the wide receiver spot? So it's basically by default, even if you don't like that. And then once you get deeper into the second round, things are getting dicey at the wide receiver spot. So honestly, you're looking at Luther Burden getting drafted in the back end of the first round as a volatile first-round wide receiver in rookie drafts. That's what you're looking at, but I think this is a great spot considering his skill set and considering how that meshes with Bo Nix. Moving on down here, and now we're looking at Colston Loveland going to the Rams here. And for Dynasty Fantasy Football, when you think about that, you're thinking about target share. One thing, how long can Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua be together? Like, how long is Cooper Kupp going to keep it up? However, with those two together, that's 50 to 55% of the targets to almost 60% of them zapped. And then you got Kyren Williams getting all the touches out of the backfield. And then that could be Blake Corum here in a bit as well, sharing some of that workload. Where are we going to get the fantasy production out of that in the short term? This is a tight end that you may want to buy in year 2 or year 3 in this situation here with the Rams when you're thinking about that. The volume's not going to be there, but the tight end spot takes some time to develop. And sometimes a tight end will show you a little bit of goods in year 1. And then we get to year 2, we quiet down a little bit. So you might be able to buy him in year 2 at a cheaper price point. Especially when you see these wide receivers, and I'm looking at Cooper Kupp, not really Puka Nacua, not really at all even, that they're not getting any younger. And I'm just saying Cooper Kupp primarily, but still, when I look at that, I look at a good year 2 buy, unless he falls the second round, but we don't have many first round options to compete with. When you look at the macroeconomics of this draft class, it's not like we're seeing 5 wide receivers come off the board. We do have a running back, but we knew that coming in. We knew the 2 quarterbacks, but let's keep it moving. Let's keep seeing what's coming off the board here. Linebacker to Tampa Bay, cornerback Trey Amos from Ole Miss, We got a defensive tackle to the Chargers, Emeka Egbuka, going to the Commanders. And he's a good fit there. You got Jay Daniels there, tossing rock, throwing it YOLO style downfield. I like this fit. Emeka Egbuka is a very nuanced route runner. I think he's going to fit well in the NFL. I think he's going to transition well. Easy first-round selection here. In Dynasty rookie drafts, you got Terry McLaurin stretching the field on the other side. I think him and McLaurin, they'll fit perfectly together. I think those two would fit good. The Ohio State tandem, they like Ohio State wide receivers. They got Noah Brown there. They had Curtis Samuel there for a little bit. They're interested in Ohio State wide receivers. That makes sense to me. I think he fits well with Terry McLaurin. Their skill sets kind of mesh well together. And you got Jay Daniels tossing the rock. But going on down through the rest of the draft, I think that's it for Dynasty assets. We got an edge, defensive tackle going to the Bills, defensive tackle going to the Vikings, guard going to the Ravens, tackle to the Chiefs. We got the Detroit Lions winning the Super Bowl at edge too. And that's it. That's a wrap. So the one thing we can take home from this mock draft here is that things are light in the first round. We're not catching a ton of wide receivers going in the first round like we see in other years. On top of that, what we're seeing is one running back like we knew with Ashton Jeanty. We're not really in love with the landing spots for quarterback. And on top of that, the market's not loving the quarterback spot this year as well. Even though there is potential upside there, we got to get some pieces around those guys. Maybe we can sooner than later. But again, that's what we're looking at. Let me know if you're excited for rookie drafts this year. What's your strategy, everything else. Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch you on the next video.